Have you ever thought to yourself that the world of work has become far too serious? Like, can you remember when you were a little kid, how much you used to laugh? Research actually shows that toddlers, these little kids, like 2, 3 years old, they laugh 300 times a day. And if I was to ask you, guys, how many times a day do you think that the typical adult laughs at work? What would you guess? Come on, someone give me a guess. How many times? 5? Are you German? No, it's more than 5. More than 5. Come on. 30? 50? No, the global average for the number of times that an adult laughs each day at work is 16. So we go from 300 times a day to 16 times a day. So work is clearly doing something to depress us. Right? So this actually started the other fact, right? Think about work days versus weekends. How many more times do you think we laugh on the weekends versus the work days? What would you guess? Twice as many? 4 times as many. Right? So, this idea that work kind of brings us down started to intrigue me and my colleague, Gabor George Burt. And we started doing research on humour in the workplace. And what I'd actually like to share with all of you today is kind of what we've discovered. And what we've discovered is that humour pays. It's not just about being funny. It's about the fact that humour can have a positive impact in the workplace. So what you're going to actually do, in the next 10 minutes, you're all going to learn to become what we call stand-up strategists. Does that sound exciting to you? Can you show a little bit more enthusiasm, please? Does that sound? Yes, good, okay. No, the next 10 minutes is probably going to be the best 10 minutes of your life with your clothes on. I have to add that as a little caveat. Okay, all right. So let me start with the first idea. Okay, now the first idea is this one: that laughter and fun, it creates a sense of bonding and empathy between people. Now, why is this important? Because if you're in a situation where you want collaboration, you want openness, you want knowledge sharing, that's very, very important, all right? So what all of you need as stand-up strategists is you need a repertoire of jokes. Are you good at this? Some people are saying no. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you the world's best joke. Now, I didn't come up with this joke. I found this joke in a research paper on what is called universal humor. So this is a joke that works across countries, languages, and cultures. This is the world's best joke. All right? Are you ready? No, sorry. Now, by the way, if you don't laugh at this joke, you've got a serious problem. Huh? Okay? So here's the joke. So a young mother, she steps onto a bus, and she's carrying her infant baby. And as she steps up onto the bus driver looks down at the baby and says, "Oh my, that's the ugliest child I've ever seen." You can imagine the mother. She snatches the ticket. She's very upset, and she rushes to the back of the bus. And as she sits down, there's an elderly, kindly, old Italian man, sitting there. And he looks at her and he says, "My darling, what's wrong with you? You look very upset." And she says, "The bus driver, she just offended me terribly." And the old man says, "But darling, this is a public bus. This is a public service. You should go to the bus driver and you give her a piece of your mind. And while you do that, I'll hold your monkey." Okay, but listen, you don't have to remember this joke, because what do all of you have in your pocket? What all of you have in your pocket is a mobile phone. All you need to do is, before walking into that meeting with your colleagues, your friends, is take out your phone and Google the world's best 100 short jokes. Jokes are at your fingertips, okay? But it's not just about jokes, it's also about an attitude. Now this guy on the left is Alan Dahaza, and he's the CEO of a Deco group, and he's a funny guy. And I was recently at an event with Adecco where he was on stage with this young guy, Ed. Now, Adecco has this intern program. It's called CEO of the Month. And this young intern shadows the CEO for a period of 4 weeks. And Ed was explaining to the audience, a couple of hundred people in the audience from Adecco, he was explaining how in the last 8 days, he and Alan had visited 8 different countries. And he said to the audience, the only thing I don't know about Elon is the color of his pajamas. And there was a little murmur of laughter. And as quick as a flash, Elon turned to Ed and said, well, that's good, Ed, because I don't wear any pajamas. Can you picture your boss naked? It's a scary thought, isn't it? But the fact was that then set the scene and reflected his humility and openness, and it created this bonding within the group that he was talking to. So this is fabulous, right? Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is coping. Business can be really stressful. So what is humour good for? Humour is actually good for reducing stress. And studies demonstrate that individuals and groups with high levels of humour cope with stress, the stress of deadlines and pressure, better than individual and groups who have low levels of humour. Okay? So this becomes very, very important. Okay? Now, so let me give you an example of this. So I was in Copenhagen this week, and I met Jakob Forum. And Jakob works for Carlsberg, and at the moment, he's involved with a very, very stressful IT transformation program. So his team are really stressed out. And he was sensing this. So what did he do? He told me this just this week. He went to a toy store. He bought a Nerf gun. He walked into the most stressed out group of his IT employees. He crept along the floor, jumped up, and shot a guy in the back of the head with a Nerf dart. Can you imagine that? You're sitting at your desk working away, and then suddenly the boss jumps up and shoots you in the eyeball with a Nerf dart? He said the whole department just cracked up laughing, and the guy, of course, was a little bit shocked at first, and he started laughing too, right? So reduce the stress of people. Bring fun and frivolity, but you have to be careful. This is Marissa Mayer, and she was the CEO of Yahoo. And at a very, very difficult time for Yahoo, the company was losing money, they were firing employees, people were losing their jobs. She went to an employee gathering. And she walked into the gathering, a couple of hundred people, and she said, everyone relax. I'm not here to announce layoffs this week. Ha, ha, ha. It's not funny. Put yourself in the shoes of those people whose colleagues have been fired. So you have to be very, very careful with sarcasm, with cynicism in these kind of situations. Now, the other thing, of course, you don't do inappropriate humour. There is no place in today's world for sexism and racism. One of the MDs, one of the managing directors I interviewed, you know what he said to me? He said, Jamie, in today's business world, inappropriate humour is like farting in an elevator. It's wrong on so many different levels. And he's absolutely right. There's no room for that, okay? So keep the humour positive because you want to energize people. You want to connect people, okay? Now, there's something else here, and it's about change. When you want change to happen, it's all about communication because you want people to remember the message. You want to make the messages portable. People are sometimes, the biggest reason that people resist change is because of fear. So if you can bring some humour into that communication of strategy, it helps people. Now, a great example of this is a guy called Terry Davis. Now, Terry Davis is an Australian, and he was the CEO of Coca-Cola Amatil in Australia. And, it was, again, the company was going through a very difficult period. They were losing market share. And what he felt was that the organization needed much more of a focus on performance, results orientation. So he gathered together his top salespeople from across the country. They came to a venue, just like this one, about the number of people we have here, and he waited until they were all seated. Then he came up onto the stage, and as he came up onto the stage, he said, everyone please stand up. So everyone stood up. They all stood up. And he said, now look under your seats. So all of the people in the audience started looking under their seats, and what was taped under every single seat was a $2 coin, Australian $2 coin. So they all started pulling out this money. And after everyone had pulled out the money, Terry said to them, look, you see, folks, if you just get off your asses and look for it, you will find revenues. Fantastic. Now, what do you think happened, by the way? What do you think happened? That message went viral around the organization because it was so funny, it was so witty. People were sharing it with each other. It went viral. It became a legend within the company. Therefore, what happened is that strategy became viral. It wasn't communicated on PowerPoint slides, or it was told through stories. Okay, so this can be very, very powerful. Now, the other area here, and probably the most important one, is creativity. Because what does humour do? Humour reduces your physical and cognitive tension. It relaxes your brain. So it allows, in particular, the frontal cortex to open. And that's your imagination engine. So by helping people to laugh, to help them have fun, you're actually helping them to be better at creativity, at ideation, at brainstorming. Right? Now, of course, a guy who's absolutely aware of this is Elon Musk. You know, and Elon Musk is renowned for his sense of humour. I mean, you all know what this guy did recently, right? He strapped a sports car to a rocket and shot it into space. Why did he do that? Because it was fun. Can you see what it says on the GPS? Don't panic. You know what he's talking about now? So the latest thing is Elon Musk is now talking about in the factory in Fremont in the US, the Tesla factory. To get people from one side of the plant to the other, they're talking about installing a fully functioning roller coaster. So you would actually get in the roller coaster, you would do a few corkscrews, a few loop-the-loops, and you'd arrive at your meeting. Some people might throw up on the way, okay, but you know, it's going to bring a whole different energy, isn't it? Could you imagine if they did that at your office? Loop-the-loops and stuff? I mean, it's fantastic, right? So that's about the fun and the frivolity. So, you know, what's my message to you? Unlock your light, become a stand-up strategist, and as a very wise leader once said, may the farce be with you. Thank you very much.